Assalamu alaikum students, I hope you all are fine. We are in unit 1, that is fundamentals of computer. In the last lesson we discussed different careers in the field of information technology, and in today's lesson we will discuss the hardware of computer. Computer hardware. You already know that computer is mainly consists of hardware and software. These are the basic two components of a computer. All the physical components of a computer are called hardware, and all the non-physical components of a computer are called software. So in today's lesson we will discuss the computer's hardware. The hardware is the physical parts of the computer system that we can see and touch. We can touch these parts of the computer, and also we can see them. Further, they exist physically. The hardware can be classified into the following main categories: input devices, system unit, motherboard, processor. Means that system unit encloses motherboard and processor. These are the two main parts of a computer which are enclosed inside the system unit. You have already studied all these things in 7th class, I believe. Further, the system unit also encloses the RAM, that is memory, that we will discuss in this lesson in the coming lessons actually. Storage devices, these are also parts, the hardware components of computer. Output devices, they are also hardware components. Memory, in memory we have ROM stands for read only memory, RAM random access memory, and cache memory. These are different types of memories which are used in a computer. So these are the basic hardware components of computer, that is input devices, system unit. Inside the system unit there are different devices in which motherboard, processor and memory, they are the main components inside the system unit. Apart from these, there are also other components inside the system unit, as you can see in this picture, that a computer consists of a monitor and a system unit. System unit is actually the casing of computer, or normally we used to call it CPU, but it's not CPU actually. It is called system unit or system casing. Inside this box, this rectangular box that we call system unit, we have the power supply, DVD-ROM, motherboard, which is the main component inside the system unit, and all the other components inside the system unit, they are actually connected with the motherboard, which is CPU, system, central processing unit, the microprocessor chip, and the CPU fan, which is also called heat sink, RAM, VGA card, sound card, hard disk. All these components they are enclosed inside the system unit and are connected with the motherboard through sockets or expansion slots. The other hardware devices which are outside the system unit, they are monitor, keyboard, mouse, speakers, printers, scanners. All those are also the hardware components of the computer. Now the first thing, that is input devices. Input is any data or instructions entered into the memory of a computer. Anything that we input to the computer, that is called input. That we enter into the computer, that is called input. An input device is any hardware component that allows a user to enter data and instructions into a computer, and the device which is used for entering this data into the computer as an input, that device is actually called input device. So it is also a hardware device. Examples of input devices are keyboard, mouse, joystick. Normally we use this for playing video games. Joystick is used for playing video games. Touch screen, this is also an input technology, or the way we input commands to the computer by using the touch screen technology. Then the light pen is also an input device. Here in this picture we can see that the light pen is used to give some input to the computer. Digital camera, scanner is also an input device. We can convert the hard copies of any documents or information into soft copies by using the scanner. Then barcode reader, in many shops, utility shops or shopping malls, we can see the barcode readers used by the shopkeepers. These barcode readers are used to read out the barcodes printed on each and every product, which contains their information. The information about that product means the price of the product, at the serial number, and the manufacturer. Each and every information is actually printed in the barcode, and this device is used to extract that information from that barcode. So that's why it is called barcode reader. Microphone, it's also an input device for voice. So for different type of input data, we use different input devices. Like for example, for characters, keyboard is used. For issuing command, mouse can be used. For playing video games, joystick is used. For touch screen input, the touch screen technology is used. And for the light pen is used to draw something by using a pen, and the whatever we draw on this touch pad, it will be shown on the screen. Digital camera for capturing pictures, scanner converting hard copies into soft copy, barcode reader to read the barcodes printed on many products, and for sound input we use microphone. I don't go into the details of each and every input device. If you want to read the details of these input devices, you can read it from your book. It is quite simple, and I believe that there is nothing difficult in this. Second, system unit. The system unit is the rectangular case that houses the electronic components inside the computer. Here in this picture we can see that it's a rectangular casing or system unit which actually encloses all these components of a computer. That is power supply, microprocessor fan, RAM, video card, sound card, motherboard. All these components are enclosed inside the system unit. The motherboard is the main circuitry in the system unit, because that all the other devices are actually connected with the motherboard. That's why the motherboard is the main circuitry inside the system unit. Two main components of the motherboard are the central processing unit and memory. Central processing unit means microprocessor chip, and memory means the RAM, random access memory. These are the main components of the motherboard. For a desktop computer, the electronic components and most storage devices such as hard disks and CD-ROM drives resides inside the system unit, as shown in this figure. For a laptop computer, the system unit houses almost all of its components, including the keyboard, pointing device, and monitor. So that is more compact as compared to the desktop computer. Motherboard. The motherboard of or system board. The motherboard or system board is the main circuit board in the system unit. As I told you that this is the main circuitry in the system unit, because all the other components inside the system unit, they are connected with this main circuitry, which is called main board. And all those components are connected through the sockets available in this main board or motherboard. For example, here in this picture we can see that the memory slots are there. We call it expansion slots also. So RAMs or the memory cards, they are used to connect or inserted or plugged into these slots. Storage devices, storage drive connections. Storage drives are also connected in their specific ports on the motherboard. Expansion slots, different cards like network interface card or graphics card or sound card, they are connected in these slots. Further, they are having back panel connectors like USB ports, etc. All these different ports or slots are available on the motherboard. And the main thing, that is CPU, there is a specific socket for the CPU or microprocessor chip on in the motherboard, in which the microprocessor is attached or fixed. Several different types of chips, for example CPU and memory chips, can be found on the motherboard. The motherboard also contains expansion slots into which other circuit boards can be inserted for the expansion of the computer system. As already I told you that there are specific expansion slots for specific hardware or specific devices to connect with the motherboard. Processor, ALU, CU and registers. The processor or the central processing unit is the electronic device that interprets and carries out the instruction that tell the computer how to work. Here in this diagram we can see that a processor or a microprocessor or CPU, all these words are the same. Central processing unit means the processor or the microprocessor. A microprocessor actually consists of three different you can say different components. Those are ALU, CU and registers. These are three different components of a single microprocessor chip. A single microprocessor chip consists of these three components, that is ALU, CU and register. ALU stands for arithmetic logic unit, control unit stands for CU stands for control unit, and registers are actually the smallest memory locations in the CPU or in the microprocessor. and its registers are a type of primary memory because they hold data or instructions for processing by the microprocessor or by the CPU. So that's why it is also a type of primary memory, but the smallest and the fastest memory in computers. This is the smallest and fastest primary memory in computer, that is called registers. The CPU usually contain on a single chip and is often called a microprocessor. So the CPU is usually contained on a single chip and is often called a microprocessor. As I told you that a single chip is called microprocessor, and that single chip is actually combines ALU, control unit and registers. So these are not separate devices, but they are combined together in a single chip. That chip is called microprocessor, and the main components of the microprocessor are ALU, control unit and register. A microprocessor usually contains the control unit, the arithmetic logic unit, ALU and registers. The figure shows a schematic diagram of CPU. In this diagram, it is shown that whenever we input any data by using an input device to the computer, then that data is captured for processing by the CPU. Then there are three components of a CPU which will work for the processing of that input data, which includes registers, control unit and ALU. The currently the data which is going to be executed currently, that is, first of all, it will be stored in the registers memory, or the instructions which are going to be executed, they are going to be stored in the in this primary memory, that is called register. Then it will be examined by the CU that whether this instruction is a type of arithmetic instruction or it a data movement instruction. Then it will be decided that who is going to execute that instruction. If it is a data movement command or instruction, it will be performed by the control unit, but if the data or instruction is of some arithmetic or logical nature, in which some arithmetic or logical operations are defined and they are going to be processed or performed, then that instruction will be given to the ALU component of the microprocessor, and the ALU stands for arithmetic logic unit. It is responsible for performing arithmetic and logical operations. We will discuss all these things in more detail in the coming lessons, but I am just explaining this diagram so that you can understand. After processing the instructions, the results are given in two ways. Whether the results are given through the output devices, they are displayed through the output devices. If it is a sound type instruction, so it will be sent to the output device like speaker. If it is a graphical output, it will be sent to the monitor. If it is a type of file and we want to store it inside our computer, so it will be given to the memory unit. It can be stored permanently. Further, sometimes we give input to our computer or to the CPU from our storage, that is from our hard disk. So it will be loaded inside the memory unit first. Then it will be given to the microprocessor and it will be processed, and then the output will be sent to the output devices. CU, ALU and registers. CU. The control unit directs and coordinates most of the operations in the computer. For every instruction, the control unit repeats a set of 4 basic operations called the machine cycle or instruction cycle that we will discuss in detail in the coming lessons, that what is meant by machine cycle or instruction cycle. They are having four basic operations: fetch, decode, reading memory addresses, and then execute. These are the four steps which is performed by the control unit. Control unit actually just like the manager of the computer system. That's why we say that control unit directs and coordinates most of the operations in the computer. Arithmetic logic unit. The ALU perform the arithmetic, comparison and logical operations. Arithmetic operations include addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Comparison operations involve comparing one data item to another and determining if the first item is greater than, equal to or less than the other item. Then registers, the third component of CPU or microprocessor. Registers are high-speed temporary storage locations used to hold data and instruction. Whatever the memory which is used to hold data and instructions for processing, that will be called a primary memory. Remember this. A microprocessor contains many different types of registers and each performs a specific function. Here in this diagram we can see that the microprocessor is divided into three sections. First that is control unit, the second component is arithmetic logic unit, and the third component it is that are called registers. And further there are many registers in a single microprocessor. For example, PC stands for program counter, AC accumulator, memory address register, and many other registers are there. Each and every register is used for a specific function or purpose. So when any program is loaded inside the RAM or main memory, then from the main memory, instruction by instruction, those instructions are fetched by the control unit and they are stored inside the registers, and the registers are responsible to provide those instructions in a sequence to the arithmetic logic unit or the control unit according to the nature of the instruction for execution by the CU or ALU components of the central processing unit. We will discuss all these different things in more detail, but if you want to clear up your concepts, you can search these things on the internet also. But for now this is enough. You just have to know that a processor consists of three components, that is control unit, arithmetic logic unit and registers.
Okay students, that's it for today. Ask your questions in the comments and don't forget to subscribe my channel Computer Tuition Academy and press the bell icon for more updates. Thanks a lot. Take care. Allah Hafiz.